Hobby Now with ZiggyNo. Today is February 1st, Thursday. We are one day late on our weekly podcast. Forgive me, life interrupted, but I'm super excited to get this episode out. Today, we're going to talk about new finds. There was a new case of, I think it was a 79 case of a special product found. We'll talk about that. And what does that mean? Are there more of them out there? We're going to talk about vintage and altering. Great debate last night from John Mangini in Blue Jacket. Um, we're going to talk about Tyson Beck's Tom Brady event was blocked by Fanatics and why you should care, why that's important. Talk a little bit of hobby news, comers and goers. I got a channel on my shout out that has decided to quit sports cards. I'll see if he really squitting or just was, trying to get attention like a lot of these young kids try to do. Let's talk about Wander Franco. Retail resistance, man. I came across a fully restacked Walmart the other day, videotaped it, made a short of it. And everybody's like, man, Feast, did you enjoy that? I'm like, I didn't get anything. I did not touch a single box. I thought about it. I did. Back in the old day, man, I'll tell you, back in the old day, here's what I honestly do. I'd get on the Facebook, hit 10 of my friends, go, dude, they got all this stuff. Who wants some? And all my friends be, I'll take some, I'll take some, I'll take some. And all I was charging them was cost plus shipping, right? Who wants a box? Just tell me what you want. We'll buy it all. Then I'd buy it all out. People would send me cash. I'd go back to my house and I'd break it or ship it to them. That's what I used to do. That's what I used back in the day. I thought about that today. Like, it's still worth doing that, helping a friend out. It just, anyway, we'll talk about retail resistance. Breakers. I'm going to talk about breakers. There was a lot of breaker conversations this week. And one thing I took away from this, and I also this too, I also reached out to several breakers about talking to them. And you'll see tomorrow I'm dropping a video on a conversation with Break Comp. And if you don't know already, the Card Hunter is where I'm doing all my breaking, buying into breaks, showing strategy, talking about why I do breaks, what I like about breaks. We're going to talk about breakers today. And one thing I take away from it is that I think the lack of just even awareness of what they're doing concerns me. I also understand that, like, if you go to somebody and say, hey, man, do you think you should, I don't know, improve your business by X, Y, and Z? And they look at you and go, well, business is good. Why should I do anything to improve it? You know what I'm saying? Like, I think that's how a lot of breaking is. A lot of breakers they're doing well. They're not looking for anything to change, anything to get different on them. They're fine. They don't see any reason to share their pricing information, right? Or share hit data. I'll give you another example. We'll talk about that as well. So again, thank you for being here. Really do appreciate it. Like, comment, subscribe. I'm also, open to questions. Leave questions below. I'm working on doing a live show on breaking in the future. I don't want to give that away if it doesn't happen. And I'm looking to do probably a live on this channel in the future as well, talking just about the hobby. So let's go ahead and we're going to go ahead and get started. I think we're going to talk about, we should actually call this session Trust and the importance of trust. It's funny, I am in my personal life in cybersecurity, and trust is very, very important in authentication and access and compromise. So for trust in the hobby. I was listening to a story about somebody finding a great case that hadn't been found, and it was sent over to Steve over at Baseball Card, whatever the heck, and he verified it. Says a great case and that's special find, all this stuff. And then I heard Brandon Baseball Card talk about this. Big fan of Brandon. He was talking about it as well, and said about Steve has vetted this case and everything. And my first thought to myself was, because it's supposed to be a really good case. I think he said they'll go for over $1 million. I don't know. I can't remember all the details. I think it's a hockey case. I think it was 79 Opeachy, which I think this is Gretzky. What I said, and I left a comment on this. Does anybody ever think that maybe there's a rich dude in China using technology to create fake vintage sealed products? I mean, what other evidence is there to find out that these finds are legit? I mean, when these things happen, what's the story behind it? How was this box where it was? Was it just, old house attic that somebody's been living in 90 years and died recently? Or has this house been sold? I want to know some story back, some back, I need some more of this, especially when we're going to put a valuation on something found like this, right? Any other experts besides Steve, come out and said this is legit? Because we were all blessing this thing because Steve, I forget his last name. I don't want to say the wrong Steve, but Steve at Baseball Card, something, I think Exchange, said this is legit. And I think to myself, trust. right? We trust this man so much that a box of old dusty cardboard has a valuation of $1 million or more. Um, is I guess weren't we burned here before? What if he's wrong? He doesn't guarantee it. He's not going to guarantee it, right? What if he's wrong? And let me go back to my original question. If you're a rich Chinese, entrepreneur over in China, why would you not be doing that? Why would you not be sitting there going, these Americans are buying what? Dude, make me 5 cases. What's the cost in China to create counterfeit stuff? And here's what I'm thinking about this, right? You need some old paper. You think they don't have old paper hanging around somewhere, right? Then you need some technology. They got some of the best technology in the world. Okay, they've been counterfeiting and stealing IP forever. And let's just put them. It doesn't mean China. It could be anywhere in the world. It could be Mexico. It could be right here in the USA. Why do we always trust that this is what I don't trust it. Now, that being the case, I'm going to turn this trust conversation over to the debate I heard last night with John Mangini and Blue Jacket about the trust we put in cards and are they altering. And this is a great conversation. Midlife baseball cards, I think, your midlife sports cards moderates. Check it out if you haven't already. The takeaways that I have is that we have to recognize that, first of all, if they can't catch it, there's nothing they can do. So if you're altering a card, whatever you want the term is altering, wiping it down or soaking it in freaking magic solution, whatever you do before you send your card in to get it graded, okay? If it cannot be detected, it's okay to do that. And even if you're doing nothing and they just say it doesn't look good, it might not be, you know what I'm saying? You could have, I don't know, maybe you just they had a bad day. Like if you get a pack full of modern card, you send it in, you didn't do anything to it, it comes back altered. I don't tell you. I guess that could happen. Um, the point of this is that I think both gentlemen, Blue Jacket and they didn't say it's right. This really comes down to ethics, right? It comes down to ethics. And here's my point. It comes down to trust. We trust, Steve said, this case is 79, no PG, hockey, because he looked at the boxes and he was around in 79 looking at boxes like that. And he has a lot of experience with that. That's great. We're screwed with hobby screwed when Steve's gone, guys, because nobody else can do this magic shit that he does. Just like we trust the PSA grader that when he looks at the card and says, yeah, this one looks like it's off. It looks too short. It doesn't meet the minimum specs. It looks trimmed and they kick it up or altered. And they don't dispose of it because they could be wrong. They're saying, and according to our experts, we believe this is altered. We're giving the card back to you. Two things I want to quickly point out here. Number one, I heard them talk about this. It is very, very well known in the hobby. And these are from two very smart vintage collectors. SGC is the easier grade for altered cards. This is a no-brainer. Okay, guys, SGC guys, shouldn't be shocked by hearing this. Don't be upset that your Wizard's Magic isn't as good as the PSA Wizard Magic. Some of the logic behind this was that it's believed that maybe PSA is using AI and their AI is more strictly kicking stuff out, cautioning on the side of, they'd rather be right than wrong. And SGC's more about getting money and getting grades. They're going to slab anything. That being the case, again, I'll go back to my original comment. A guy in China, don't you think if he's making fake old cards, he's sending them to SGC to get slabbed first? Well, no, actually, he's sending the PSA first. And when they get rejected, he sends them to SGC. But he's got a fallback, guys. You see what I'm saying? Like, it's not like, oh, I can put money building these fake cards, and if I fail the grader, I am ruined. Boo-hoo. No, I just go to the next grading company and they'll slab it. And the next grading company, and they'll slab it. Or I sell them raw. This is a huge problem, I think, that no one wants to talk about in the hobby. This is one of the reasons why it's so funny. As a modern, what I realized, I'm a modern, I don't want to say, I'm not a collector, chaser, hunter, modern hunter of modern products. I don't like the fact that if I didn't pull it myself out of an old pack or know the person did, I think there's too much chance it could have some bad juju. Now, one of the takeaways that Blue Jacket made was, let's accept that. Let's move on. Let's appreciate what these cards are. If you have an altered tobacco card from 1915, crack it, feel it, smell it, enjoy it. or keep it in this altar, appreciate what it is. It still has, maybe it's altar, but it's old, right? And one man's altar, one man's treasure, trash is another man's treasure. And I have to say, I kind of like that. Like, I would say I don't have any vintage cards in my collection. I think most vintage cards I have would be something I pulled from the 80s, right? Or something I picked up in the 80s from older on. That's the only vintage I'd even have. Um, but it's maybe think about maybe getting some vintage that is altered, authentic altered. You know what I'm saying? I think that's what Blue Jacket said, authentic altered, just to have it. I don't give a shit about being altered. And will people care that much in the future is another question. Hmm. What do you think about this? Where do you stand on this? I will tell you what I do stand on this. I do feel like, look, it's an arms race, and I'm not going to be mad at anybody who alters or shit, does whatever the hell they do to their car to get a higher valuation. I'm not gonna do it because ethically, I'm not gonna do it. Okay, but I'm not an idiot. I know it's happening, right? I know guys who do it. I have friends who I know do it. Okay, just like I don't like repacks, fucking hate them. But I'm gonna buy from breakers the product that I want. I'm never gonna buy the repack, right? You know what I'm saying? There's certain things like ethically, I'm not gonna cross that line. But as a consumer of the product, I'm going to consume with wisdom and knowledge. What do you guys feel? What are your thoughts? Let's go to our next topic. Tyson Beck was not allowed to use Tom Brady's autograph in his autograph signing down in Melbourne, and these were cards. Now, let me give you a little backdrop. I did a short or a video on this before when I saw it come out, because my first thought on this was, huh, how's he doing this? Because I saw Topps do it, and they made a ton of money. I calculated how much money Topps made selling CJ Stroud's card. I'm thinking they're just letting some artist make that much money on his own. I mean, that's honestly my first thought. I was shocked by that. Well, no, they weren't. Now, Dan put together, Dan the card man puts a great video explaining how it got stopped. Now, according to Dan's sources, nobody knew about this until at last minute. And that's what pissed everybody off. Like nobody came forward and said, hey, Tom's not going to sign these cards. Now, number one, I would blame Tom more than anybody else. Like, Tom, you signed an exclusive contract with a sports card company, said you can't sign anybody else's card, and then you agreed to come down here and sign cards. Dude, what were you doing, man? You put yourself between a rock and a hard place. I think Tom should be more responsible in that. And I think I would love to hear from him. Apparently, he still did a meet and greet with the people who did not get autographed cards. One of that conversation came up where he talked about his relation with Fanatics, or how can people get his autographs in the future? Like, could we meet him at another event? Does he do private signings? I thought a lot was left unexplained. I do not, though, feel bad for Tyson Beck or the hobbyists, because as sad as it was for them, I'm glad that Fanatics is enforcing this exclusivity. I mean, I've seen exclusivity in the past, and I'm watching them sign for both companies. So I'm thinking, what the hell's the difference? When I've been at the Chantilly show, you see them come out with the Fanatics. Some of them have Fanatics tabletop, and it says exclusive. I'm like, well, what are they exclusive to? Hey, it's great to kind of see there's some exclusivity. That should help people who are true collectors who want the value of those things to go up. If you're a Tom Brady collector, especially autograph collector, you cannot be happy the fact the man is going to be signing and can sign as much as he wants. Well, I would say you can't be happy. I don't mean that, but you have to accept the fact that he will be signing for a while. Okay. There'll be different signatures over his time, different things, different chases. And this is why, to me, that's what makes a rookie autograph so special. It is their first professional year they're signing. Some people might later on go their first autographs or their first college autographs or the first, professional when he was behind the broadcasting autograph. There might be different levels, but to me, as a sports fan, a rookie card autograph on the rookie year is special to me. I think it has special value. It's kind of an unsaid unknown said. I can't explain it, but you gotta hopefully know what I mean. While I'm discussing this, I want to talk about a few other things real quickly. I saw a breaker, Biiig Sports, Biiig, say goodbye to sports cards. I do remember him not liking my comments back in the day, so I stopped following him. He bragged about how much money he spent on cards and how he was leaving cards and all the reasons he leaving them. I thought to myself, I really enjoyed this video. I hope more people watch this video. I still to this day do not understand how people make money buying a finished product like a PSA 10 slab and expect to make money just by simply walking across the room and selling it somewhere else, or holding it a week and selling. Now, I know those things happen, but you are chasing factors that are really out of your control. So I'm glad to see that is, in my opinion, a example of the correction that's needed in the hobby. We need to correct lazy. We should not reward lazy work. Okay. Let me be the first to say that. Selling a card in the same room is lazy work, dude. Now, many of you do. I understand many dealers come in, you buy from each other and you mark it up and you sell the same day. And that's amazing to me. It really is amazing. I don't know what to say. I mean, that's not the same. I think the lazier guys have shows up when the show started, right? And he buys the card, then he walks across the room and finds a friend of his he can charge more to. My God, your generation's going to eat your own. God, we're in trouble. Okay. Wander Franco. Oh, I got this cool Wander Franco card right here. It's like a sapphire. And I'm thinking of all the cool things I'm gonna do to it. Like I was thinking I'm definitely gonna dip this shit in some Kurt's card care. I'm gonna dip it in some water, maybe some gasoline. We're gonna do a dip test with this card. We're gonna torture this card in science, right? But this is a great card to torture, right? Don't you agree? Um, why are we torturing this card? Well, because he has no value anymore. He's considered a pedophile, did some bad things with some young people. The reason I'm bringing him up is there are a lot of people. Well, no, 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 no. There are others, a few others, who have similar backgrounds like his. Why are they still collectible in the hobby? And would Wander Franco ever become collectible again? Huh? Would it? Who am I talking about? Huh. Certain linebacker for the New York Giants got in some trouble with some young ladies back in the day. I'll leave it at that. But people seem to idolize him. I hear he pops up the national year, wants autograph. That's one player I don't want to be associated with. And I hope again, like if we're gonna just, we realize the monster that Mr. Wander is, why would we forget the monster some of these other people are? Reminds me, you see the breaker who was texting with 14-year-olds? That was absolutely disgusting. That guy should be in prison. God help us all. How are people this dumb too? Oh, I thought it was, oh, I didn't know she was, I'm 14. I mean, this is this, I'll stop here. Don't even feed that shit. Sorry. Retail resistance. And then we're gonna talk about breaking. I made a couple promises this year. I've already broken a few of them. I did buy some breaks that were not PYT. I bought some, and I also bought some fillers that were not spots. I've also I did open one box of retail. My sons picked it up with me. I opened it. I do have some other retail I'm going to rip that I've been holding on to. Um, but this last week I was in Target, Walmart, and I saw a whole restock. And I was shocked by that. I was shocked. Like there were hangers, update hanger boxes. Hangers are bangers. There were mega boxes, tons of mega boxes, blaster boxes. Um, and I'm talking Prism football. I'm talking Prism NBA, hoops, uh, discounted boxes. Series one that was $15 a box. Um, there might have even been Lorcana in there. And I thought to myself, man, the hobby's getting back to normal. A little bit off normal because normally you don't see that Prism stuff. Now, I did come back later on. The Prism stuff was all gone. So that does show maybe the hobby is returning to some reality. Also, I will say too, I mentioned this, I think, last week before. I think retail has got some sleepy products in there, some sleepy, sleepy products. The NBA blasters seem to be a good product. They have some number cards in them. They don't have any chase like parallels or anything like that. I did see draft though. Draft Prism had Wembyama Color Blast, which shocked the hell out of me. It's a draft card, but again, who cares? It's not a college card. It's a card we don't recognize the jersey anyway. Um, some of the mega boxes, I suspect, and I'm really, really, really interested in seeing the Prism Monopoly checklist. Last year's Prism Monopoly was lit. Only 90 card checklist. Well, actually, it was a 100 card checklist. 10 of the players were all stars, so you're going to see them twice. And then the other 90 cards, 3 players per team. So each team had 3 players, very balanced checklist. Only, I think, I want to say 9 rookies, maybe 10 rookies. Um, they had color blast, they had short prints. It was a fun, rich product. 101s, no autographs at all in that product. Didn't need autographs in that product. So I think that product's gonna be fun for Victor Wembanyama, any of the products in there. I think that's gonna be a very, very good product. Also, it'll be interesting. Topps might have some cool retail products this year. So as much as I pooped on retail and said I'm not gonna buy retail in 2024. And here's the kicker. Here's the other kicker. They've outlawed retail breaks on eBay. That really kicks me in the. I love retail breaks on eBay. I suspect, I think a lot of it's from chargebacks and people overpaying in breaks, not getting stuff, then saying, "Oh, I didn't pay for anything," or "I wasn't me." I think that really killed the business, and that sucks. That's why I think there's things we should do to make breaking better, um, which is going to bring me to my next and last topic of the day. Let's talk about breakers. So first of all, let me just say this: breaking is gambling. I fully believe breaking, buying into breaks, running breaks, you are running a casino. It is gambling. It should have some type of oversight and regulation, specifically on the legitimacy of the cases. Are they full cases? Where the product's coming from? Um, Cards on camera. You should not sell to minors. Um, there's a lot of areas where I would like to see some changes. That being the case, I am dropping a video tomorrow with my conversation with Break Comp, not talking regulation, just talking about their background. I give them some suggestions of things I'd love to see breaking do, where I think we can make better breaking if we pull this data together. Um, but I want to talk about some of the breakers I listened to this week. One was on Texas, the Texas guy, the guy from Texas Roadhouse. I do not remember his name. He was on the Sports Card Strategy Show. Nothing glaring. What shocked me was his little knowledge of breaking, right? He said, "Well, I haven't been to breaking much. I've done some random breaks in the past, but we're looking forward to getting our breaking going." Blah 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 blah. You know, even I forget the guy's name. Runs the show. He even said, I forget his name. Forgive me for my blanking on your name there. A sports card strategy guy. He says we don't think there's a strategy in sports card breaking, although Ziggy has said there is, because we know it's in the chat. Right. So they don't recognize his breaking. Now, I thought this would have given the breaker a great opportunity to say, well, actually, there is a strategy, and many of our buyers are buyers who buy for blah, 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 blah. And I know this because, okay, let me tell you this. Back in the day when I was in breaks, I ran into a lot of the breakers who were buying to source either their stores, their hobby, their business, whatever. They were making money buying into breaks. Okay. I'll say this from the beginning of it. In many breaks, it's not all breaks, but many, especially PYT, there's two types of people. Somebody who's there who knows what the hell they're doing, and somebody who doesn't. Okay? It's like a poker table sometimes, often. Um, the next breaker I want to talk about was the dude Wheezy, and I'm trying to remember what show he was on to give proper credit where credit is due. The next breaker I was talking about was I forget the show he was on. He was being interviewed, and they asked him about, "Hey, you were the breaker that pulled the blank blank superfractor, or what was your biggest pull?" He goes, "I pulled the superfractor," and he goes into the story about how the guy pulling it, man, was pulling the team like 4 times in a row, or maybe it was buying the box, but the guy who hit the card, and this is what I'll just say, real timeout. That's someone like me, right? We're the people who buy the cards. We're the hobbyists who buy in the breaks. I think we should be called breakers, personally. Right? The guy opening the box should be called the store. I don't know what the hell you want to call them, the bank. I don't know. A gift unopener. But anyway, we call, or the hobby calls the guy buying the breaks the sucker. So the sucker who's buying into the boxes in the store had bought apparently 4 times and struck out. And I think it's Wheezy, the bald young man, says, "Well, I talked him into buying one more." And that box, he pulled the big blah, 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 blah. And he's taking credit for this. And I thought to myself, that's such an interesting spin. You know, I'm sure there's many guys out there who will tell you that one of the reasons they hate breaking is because the breaker kept misleading them or kept, getting them to buy more and more and more, and they never hit the big card. They wasted a ton of money, and they might not even blame the breaker. They, well, it's my fault. I knew better. I'll give you an example. I remember Dan, the great curator, talking about how he had boxes of these cards. These guys kept buying one box at a time, chasing the case hit, and they couldn't hit it, so he kept selling them for more and more and more. And it's these stories that I feel like concern me, right? As somebody who used to sell alcohol as a bartender, it's very much like alcohol addiction, right? You get them on something, they want more. Oh, you want another drink? You want another drink? You want another drink? So I didn't like that conversation. The other part I'm gonna say that I learned from this conversation, the Wheezy dude is friends with cblez. And I want to say they're all kind of somewhere hooked into backyard breaks in some way. But a lot of these new breakers who came out in last since COVID, um, I feel like they've really pressed some of the rules that were in place before that aren't in place anymore. Like another example I'll give you too. when I used to, and I'm looking forward to talking to guys like Mojo Breaks, and hopefully I remember this, is that I remember back in the day, breakers didn't talk about the price of anything. They never said, oh, that's a $500 card, or that one sold for $10,000 on blah, blah, blah. Never talked about the price of a card. That's a good hit. Bang, that's nasty. What a sick hit. They didn't put valuations. This new generation, these little pull mans, these backyard break guys, the cblezes, um, they put monetary values. They tell you, oh, you just hit this is a $20,000 ceiling. You hit the big card. Last one go for the. That really concerns me because when we know how easy it is to manipulate some of these things in the market, it just sets so many people up. And how that I don't. How do we regulate that? How do we control that? I don't know. But how you cannot look at that and say there's a problem, I don't know either. So those are two examples of breakers. The best conversation I heard this week was Jeremy Lee had guy from Filth Bomb on, and I'll say reach out to the Filth Bomb guy. He's yet to respond to me, which kind of bothers me. I think he liked some of my questions and did not like some of my questions. I also think that so look, this big take a step back. Jeremy had him on, and what I like about Jeremy's show, Jeremy will read your question if it's an intelligent question. And I had several, I believe, intelligent questions. Uh, I'll make a comment here. I did not make verbally, it was not read at least, but I did say this in the chat was this gentleman talks about how he got into breaking. And he says that he basically sat there one day, he opened a box and sold it. He goes, man, I made $150 selling that box. After shipping and everything else, I made $150. He goes, I could do two of those a day. If I did two of those a day, I could do five a week. And then I, figure I can make $52,000. He figures out math. That's an entrepreneur. Great. I understand that. And then you figure out how ways to improve that business. That's how business happens. What I don't like, and I've said this before, he's not a collector or hobbyist, or he wasn't buying boxes himself and goes, hey, I'm make it better and share the cost with my friends. He looked and says, hey, I can maximize profits on the addiction of other car chasers. And I did say addiction / car chasers. I'm being a little extreme there, but you get my point. I asked in the chat, is there a need for regulation in the hobby? He actually answered quickly, yes, although he veered off on pricing and talked about pricing and break comp and price transparency. In my conversation with break comp, I think there's a lot of things that price transparency provides. I don't want prices to be controlled because that's not what I expect to pay all the time. There is room for negotiation. Breakers discount some breaks. Some prices go faster, so they know, for example, that the Victor spot's going to sell quickly, so they are going to charge more for it. So they can go ahead and cut deals so the other break prices aren't as expensive. I think it's important to understand that it's not all price gouging. I think it's about price transparency, you understanding that, seeing data. I talk about that a lot with break comp, but need for regulation. I thought it was interesting that he said yes to the need for that. I do hope, and this is what I reach out to him about, is, hey, why don't you get together with some other big breakers and let's talk about an association or a self-regulation, some rules we could set in place. When I asked about concern selling to minors, he quickly said it was shocking to him, and I don't disagree with him. It's probably shocking to anybody. His comment was, "Can't you go into Target, Walmart, and buy a box of cards? And you don't have to be 21 or 18 to buy those, right? So why would you be 18 or 21 to buy a break?" I can't argue with that, but I can. You know what I'm saying? Like I can't, but I can because I've seen some of these magic wheels and tricky pricing, and you don't know what you're getting into. Hey, buy the Arizona Cardinals for $500 in the spot, man. Every team's equal. No. Okay, so that's one of my concerns here. Would he support industry certifications? He actually said yes, and this is something I think again self certified. The industry should self certify, self train people. Awareness campaigns. They should come together and really create almost a lobby that protects its interests as breaking becomes a bigger and bigger and bigger for the industry. It would be very, very smart of the breaking community. I don't want to say you don't need to unionize, right? But you need to maybe organize. Break or hit understands loaded boxes. Okay, let me say this. I hope the audit, and I hope we put more visibility on where cards come from. People are selling half cases, where the other half went to, where a case hits or track case hits. I think breakers should track at the end of a case break, should send the serial number and all the hits in that case up into the cloud for people to analyze. Here are the big hits from the cards. Here are the hits that were not in their case hits. Supposed to be this. We didn't get a case hit, or we got two case hits, or we got these. We got this number of parallels per case. All the information. And you can be as specific as you might want to share, but that is very, very valuable data for the entire sports card community. Cameras. All right, that's about cameras. A lot of the stuff I would say go to the conversation. We ended though talking about break comp and about price transparency. I'm going to end here with you on this little piece of information. And again, thank you for listening this long. Like, comment, subscribe. Um, really want to make this hobby a better place, and breaking where I think I can make the biggest impact right now. There's a lot of other areas, universal registry, hit counter. Oh, I just lost my train of thought. Look at my last note. I had here what I was going to say to you guys as a transition out. Break comp. Before 2020, I remember I was in many Facebook groups. I was Facebook admin or moderator in many, many Facebook groups. I'm very trusted, a very good reputation in the Facebook community. I'm not as active as I used to be, but I could easily get many vouchers. Never had any bad transactions. Pristine record. Um, Price information was a secret sauce to breakers. Okay. Back then, all breaks didn't fill, and it was competitive. If you would have built out your business, like if I was building my break, I might get half a case of product, and I want to sell that product through so I can buy more product. In order to keep that flowing, okay, I need my customers to come in. If I start losing customers because somebody else has better pricing or is undercutting my pricing or stealing my customers away, it can hurt my business. And this is again pre-COVID, and this was a very competitive day. I remember I have friends who'd be furious about people poaching and Ziggy, you're in all the breaks. Do you know what's going on? I'm like, yeah, I see everything, but I'm not doing it all. I don't recruit people from one group to the other, right? I see what prices one guy has, I see what prices the other have, and I make my own decisions. Right? I earned the right to be in these groups. I'm not giving price information. And the reason I bring this up is that because these days, price information was very much the secret sauce. It was a competitive differentiator to breaks filling. Today, demand is so great, you can price anything you want. Another example, back in those days, a comp was what is the last it sold for? So the most you could sell it for in a group was probably 15% under that. It's like, well, some sucker paid $100. So at least three guys will be willing to pay 85 for it, right? Right. Oh, yeah, yeah, we'll sell it for 85. It wasn't the comp was $100. The next idiot's gonna be 110. Let's sell it at 110. That changed in COVID. So I wonder, this is why, and I explain this, this is why price transparency was never there. It didn't exist in the past because it really was a competitive differentiation was your pricing. If you had better PYT pricing, your breaks filled. And I'd love to talk to some of the breakers about this. Today, that's not as important. Will it be in the future? And where I get to this is that eventually all products are going to flow from one mother ship, or all the good products that you're going to want. And they're going to flow those through breaking channels, breaking control, right? So then what does it mean? Do they then have price control? Do they give it to you? You guys all decide it through the market? I mean, this is why I think price transparency is so important. And I think hit data and giving something back, right? Besides just if you want to get pricing information, let's give something back. And I think that can make the entire hit tracking, um, um, hit accuracy, right? You'll know what's in the products, insurance and tracking it for fraud. So many valuable reasons. Theft, anti-theft. Anyway, I've said too much. I've gone too long. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Like, comment, subscribe. This is Hobby Now with ZiggyNo.